This modern masterpiece starts in 1984 at a secret Soviet lab somewhere near Moscow. In this batshit insane story, the Soviet Union has beaten the US to create hyper-intelligent hybrid sharks, cause of course they have. Unfortunately, due to lax security precautions, all of them manage to escape the lab, much like a virus might. They then go on a bloody rampage. Two quick-witted scientists know that once the sharks get into the open, they will be unstoppable, so they draw them into the handy space shuttle that happens to be in the same facility, fueled up and ready for liftoff. One of the scientists has to sacrifice himself to buy time, but they heroically manage to save the Earth by lifting off with the killer sharks in the enormous rocket ship. Luckily, the keys were left in it, or we would all have been up the shitter. In present-day USA, NASA is ready to launch their latest moon mission. They take off and accelerate at a hell of a speed and head directly up. The astronauts are not affected by the forces of acceleration or gravity and just jiggle slightly in their seats, which they are not strapped to. Once they are in space proper, NASA tells them it was a successful launch, the route is clear and their artificial gravity is working. They have an ETA of 68 hours. Everything is as it should be as they are preparing to go into lunar orbit and descent when all of a sudden something unexplained veers them off course. The navigation system has been overloaded and communications are completely down. The only option is to restart the ship, otherwise they will crash into the moon. They manage to get things working but have to fight to land it on the dark side of the moon far from their intended location. They've been knocked around a bit but are all alive. However, they are locked out of their system and need to find a way back to Earth. They have enough life support to last them for 6 months. They've crashed 1 mile from the U-22 rover and the commander decides that they need to go there to scavenge for parts. 4 of them walk to the rover, which seems to be intact. In the distance, they can see some disturbance on the ground coming towards them. When they see that it is a threat, they run and bounce back to the spaceship. Unfortunately, Liam was not able to outrun any of his crewmates and is taken down by a shark man. Another shark man chases the rest of the crew but then steps on a mine and is blown up. As the crew stand over its carcass, it starts moving again but is soon stopped when a spear lands in his chest. The crew are perplexed and look over to see 2 Russians without helmets who tell the other shark to F off. The Russian man thinks they are a rescue mission and says that he has been there for 40 years. He is mad that he has been forgotten about. The commander says that they will help them when they fix their ship. He introduces himself as Sergei and his adopted daughter Akula. She has a weird protrusion coming from her back. They get on Sergei's rover and head to his spacecraft so not to draw the sharks to the NASA craft, but Omri is snatched by a shark that then jumps into a crater with him. Sergei says they will hold him hostage. The sharks have created a settlement. They keep Omri under guard and say that they brought down the spaceship and want to use it to get back to Earth with all their eggs. Sergei explains that he found Akula and adopted her. She is a hybrid shark hybrid and has gills that she can breathe the moon's atmosphere with. He has special suits to render their electromagnetics invisible to the sharks and protect them from the cold. A tank on his back feeds oxygen via tubes into his nose. He also explains how he created the hybrid sharks as a weapon for the USSR. He used equipment on board the spaceship to survive for 40 years by growing food and mining water. He also says sharks are attracted to electromagnetics, so stop the crew transmitting or they will be attacked. The commander contacts the ship and tells them not to transmit back to her, but her message is garbled and they transmit back, which alerts one of the sharks. Ellie is worried about the missing crew members and orders Owen to grab his medical gear and go with her to find them. Omri is being interrogated by Zarina, the shark leader, and has his leg bitten off by Scar, her bodyguard, when he does not tell them where the spacecraft is. Unsurprisingly, biting off his leg loosens up his tongue. The commander and Michael dress up in the ridiculous getup and tool themselves up with moonstone spears and go to investigate the crater. They decide to infiltrate the jail looking for Omri and make their way down into the settlement. Meanwhile, Ellie and Owen are wandering around looking for the crew when they stumble upon a part of Liam. In a panic, Owen uses his radio and inadvertently attracts a shark to him, which takes him down and then eats him. Ellie does not fare much better and he's also eaten. On board the ship, Tom has worked out a path to get home, but they have to use it within the next 6 hours. He urgently radios to the crew members to no avail, except he has managed to alert a shark to their location. The team sneaks into the shark lair looking for Henri and manages to take a shark captive, but when they interrogate it, it bites its own lip and starts bleeding, which attracts the attention of other sharks. They find a footless Henry who warns them that the sharks are on their way to the ship. As they try to escape, they stumble into a room that is a shark incubation chamber. Akula stops them from destroying the embryos just as the alarm sounds. The team leaves, but Akula stays there and talks with Zarina, saying that she will not allow them to go back and kill all humans on Earth. Back on the ship, Tom is blabbering away on the radio when one of the sharks makes his way onto the ship. They rush to get suited and booted, knowing they have to protect the life support system. The shark forces its way into the room that they are in. The crew does some great moon running and finds a rover which they escape on, but are soon followed by a massive legless shark that bounces across the surface of the moon. Akula spears it and it gives up chasing them. Arriving back at the spaceship to see that the door has been caved in. Searching the ship, they find that Tom and Josie killed one of the sharks. As they are coming up with a plan, many sharks arrive. Henry says he's going to draw the sharks away from the ship and uses the blowtorch between his legs to power away from the ship. When he's attacked by the sharks, he lights it. The explosion kills Henri and all the sharks. They still haven't sealed the ship by the time the next lot of sharks arrive and board with their eggs. Josie gets eaten while trying to hide from them. Tom goes to sort out the flight plan and runs into the shark on his way back. He's dead now. Michael finds Tom's pool of blood and is confronted with a shark that easily disarms him. The others arrive, but for some reason surrender, which doesn't make sense. As if any of this makes sense. Zarina asks Akula to join them and says none of this would have been possible without her, and that they learned to fly Sergei's spacecraft when they were both off hunting sharks. They say they deliberately abandoned her outside for Sergei to find and raise, and their plan worked. Zarina's bodyguard, Scar, is about to mess them all up, but Henri has sneaked back on the ship and runs Scar through, although he is promptly killed moments later. Double sacrifice, way to go Henri. They find Tom's flight plans on a memory stick and decide to use Sergei's spaceship to get back and warn Earth the sharks are coming. They open an external hatch that's conveniently right next to them and jump down to the moon's surface. Akula pushes Zarina out. They run to Sergei's ship while being pursued by a group of sharks through a minefield. Sergei says that they can kill the remaining sharks if he flies his ship into the settlement, as that will make a magma blast that will destroy it. They say their goodbyes to Sergei, and he gives Akula the smallest big inflatable raft the world has ever known and says she will need it if she touches down in the ocean. You think that might happen? Sergei prepares to take off and the others get out to fight the sharks and buy him time. Sergei takes off and crashes the shuttle into the settlement while the others get thrown one by one into the mouth of the legless shark. A plume of lava spits up and destroys the NASA craft and then blows the creature with the crew into space and all the way to Earth in a matter of minutes. I guess it was their plan to get eaten and then blown across space to Earth and land in the ocean. That's nuts. Fortunately, Akula had the inflatable raft which they all jump in. Before they can plan what to do next, Akula goes into labor and gives birth to a little hybrid shark hybrid. They jump over the side of the raft, and now all of a sudden the raft is surrounded by the little fuckers. Bet you didn't see that coming. Peace out.